Hello, my name is Nicolaas and today I would like to show you how to set up and play Citytrip Brugge. Citytrip Brugge is a flip and ride game. In this game we will be planning a tour for a group of visitors to the city. The game is published by Citytrip Games and is designed by Christof Van Conkelberge. He is also the designer of the solo variant and the artist for the game. A game of Citytrip takes about 20 to 45 minutes for 1 to 6 players ages 8 and up. You have a basic, advanced and solo version of the game. I will teach you how to play all of them. Now there's also a special reason why I really want to show you this game. I live near the city of Brugge and my dad, Leslie, used to be a city guide in Brugge. So I think it's about time that I step into his footsteps and I take you on a tour of our city. Welcome to Brugge. In this game we are tour guides and we each plan a route through the town of Brugge. Each player tries to fulfill as many of the tourists' wishes as possible. They want to do some sightseeing, taking pictures of buildings, bridges, statues. They want to visit museums and attend a play or watch a movie. You should also stop at some of the local shops so that they can buy some souvenirs to take home. And of course, you can't let them leave without tasting some of the local dishes while drinking some delicious Belgian beer. The winner of the game will be the player who has the highest satisfaction score at the end of the game. You can play the basic game, the advanced game, and there's also a solo version. We will take a look at all of them. But we will start by setting up the basic game. First, take all the cards from the game box and place those in front of you. Let's sort all the cards into separate decks according to their backs. First, look for these action cards. These 20 cards show you 3 action symbols on each side. The start location cards show you a picture of a place that you can visit along with its coordinates to help you find that location on the city map. There's also some written information about the location and you can scan a QR code which provides you with some additional info. You can recognize these cards by the visit symbol on their back. The last type of cards that we have are these mission cards. These are wishes of the tourists that are the highest on their wish list. We divide these into 6 mission types. On the back of these cards you can find a star symbol with the mission number. Now sort these cards according to their number. Once we have sorted out all the cards, we can start setting up the base game. Each player receives a sheet that matches the level of your game and a pencil. On one side of the player's sheet, you can see a green border and a green smiling face. On the other side, you can see a red border and a red upside down smiley face. For the base game, we use the green side. Let's take a more detailed look at our player sheet before we continue with setup. On this sheet you can find a map of the city of Brugge. Here you will be planning your visit for the tourists. On the map you can find the locations and almost all of them have a goal symbol. A white circle, however, is a location without a goal. The dotted lines are the roads that you can take from one location to another. On the right side you can find the scoring strip. This is a list of all the goals that you can achieve during the game. They show you the symbol of the goal and the points that you can gain when you achieve it. Along the border you can find the coordinates, a combination of a letter and a number. This will help you to find the location on the map. And finally you have the legend. This legend explains how many actions you need to spend to accomplish a specific goal. But of course we will take a more detailed look at this when we explain the action symbols and the goals. To continue our setup, we first shuffle the deck of starting locations and place one card face up in the middle of the table. All players now circle this location on their sheet and write the letter S inside that circle. This will be your starting location and is the same for all players. So in this case, it tells us it's the Museum of Hidogozelle and it's located on N5. So we have N here and 5 here. So we would now circle this location and write an S inside our location. This is the starting point for all players. This starting location shows you a goal symbol, so you may now cross the first circle of this goal. In this case, it shows us this painting symbol, so we are now allowed to cross off this first circle of that particular goal. Now take the deck of 20 action cards. For the base game, we use 16 of these cards. If you want to play a longer game, you use all 20 cards. Shuffle this deck and place it in the middle of the table. Now we have our mission cards. For a first game, you could leave these in the box and just use the goals on your player sheet. But including these will provide you with more ways to score points during and at the end of the game. These cards represent the wishes highest on the must-see or to-do list chosen by the tourists themselves. When we add them to the base game, we take 3 mission cards. 1 from the Mission 1 deck, 1 from the Mission 2 deck, and 1 from the Mission 3 deck. You are allowed to draw them at random, or all players can agree on which card for each level will be used. Once you have played the game a few times, you may replace a Mission 1 card by a Mission 4 card, and you can also replace a Mission 2 card with a Mission 5 card. You can choose to replace one or both of these cards. You might already have noticed that there's only one Mission 6 card. This card has a different color, and this will help you to remember that this card is only used in the advanced game. So more on that when we take a look at that variant. So for now, I will pick a Mission 1, 2 and 3 card. We will take a closer look at what is on these cards when we know how to play the game. The game is played over a fixed number of turns. Each turn follows the same structure. First, a random player will turn over the top action card and place it next to the deck. This combination of 2 cards shows you the 6 actions that will be available for all players to choose from during that round. Then all players simultaneously will choose 2 actions and use these actions to plan their visit on their map and crossing off any goals that they achieve. At the end of the turn in which the last card combination is visible, the game will end. This will be after 15 rounds when you use 16 action cards, or 19 rounds when you use 20 action cards. Now, how do we choose these 2 actions? From the 2 cards you can choose 2 actions. These actions must be connected horizontally or vertically. So I could choose these 2 actions, or these 2, but I am not allowed to combine this action with this action. Now, what do these actions mean? The first one we will take a look at is this planning action. This planning action allows you to move a number of spaces through the city from location to location. The value inside the symbol shows you how many steps you may take. You can move in a horizontal, vertical or diagonal direction as long as there is a dotted line visible. At the start of the game, you start at your starting location and you pick a direction you want to go in. You can only create one route through the city, so you are not allowed to start a second route from that same starting location. You don't have to use all your available steps, but your road may never touch or intersect itself, and you can only cross the water via a bridge. So, with these 2 planning actions, I could move from my starting location one time here in this horizontal direction and maybe this vertical direction. So in this way I have now spent my 2 planning actions. All the other action symbols help you to achieve your goals. Just like with the planning action, you will notice that all other actions also have a number inside of the action symbol. Each goal can be achieved by using a number of these actions. When you are on a location and you have the correct amount of actions, you can circle the goal on that location and you will mark the first circle of the corresponding goal. But more on that later. Let's see what these goals are and see what actions we need to achieve each goal. To explain this, we take a closer look at our scoring strip, and of course also at the legend of our city map. In this scoring strip, you can find a list of all the goals that you can achieve. These resemble all the activities that you schedule for your trip. The first goal symbol that we see is this buying souvenirs goal. On your trip, you give tourists the opportunity to buy local specialities and souvenirs. The legend of the base game shows you how many actions you need to spend to complete this goal. So, for buying souvenirs, you see this question mark. This means that each buying souvenirs action allows you to shop at one location during that turn. So, during my turn, if I stop at this shop location and I have a corresponding action symbol, I can spend one of it to let the tourist buy a souvenir at this shop. And I'm now allowed to circle this location and to cross off the first circle of that goal. The next block of goals is all about taking photos and using the taking photos action. To show you this, I will turn over this action card, and here you can see the symbol for taking photos. Again, it shows us a number, so it means that I have 2 photo actions available. In the legend, you can see how many of these action symbols you need to spend to let tourists take photos. This symbol is the statues and squares symbol. This is the symbol for bridges. Of course, they also want to take photos of the almshouses and religious buildings. And we have to stop to take some pictures of the beautiful historical buildings. To take a photo of the first 3, the bridges, the statues, religious buildings, you need to spend one of those photo actions. If you let them take a picture of a historical building, you will need to spend 2 of these photo actions. So, during our walk, I could stop here at this almshouse and I could spend one of these photo actions to mark this goal. I place a circle around that location and again I can cross off the first open circle of that goal. This next goal is all about culture. This frame symbol is the visiting museum and attractions goal. And this symbol is used for attending a theater or event goal. To complete this goal, we need to spend a new type of action, and this is the visiting action. Visiting a museum costs you 1 of these visiting actions. Going to the theater or attending a play costs you 2 of these visiting actions. So if I want to stop at this location and let them enjoy a play, I would need to spend 2 of these visiting actions, and then again I'm allowed to mark this location and cross off the first circle of this goal. Of course, all that walking makes people hungry, so during your tour you need to give the visitors the opportunity to taste the local cuisine, satisfy a small hunger, and of course drink some of that delicious Belgian beer. This action symbol allows you to complete that goal. It is the eating and drinking action symbol. In your score strip, you will notice that you have 5 different symbols in the eating and drinking goal section. The first 4 are for visiting short drinking and eating establishments. They will cost you 1 of these eating and drinking actions. You can achieve each of these visits once, and you can do so in any order. But you still mark the first circle first, just like with the other goals. This symbol is the restaurant symbol. Eating at a restaurant takes more time, so you will need to spend 2 of these eating action symbols to complete this goal. But if you complete this goal, you are allowed again to cross off this first circle, and this would double the points that you have achieved for the other goals. So if during my trip I would stop at this restaurant, I would need to spend 2 of these action symbols to let my visitors eat at the restaurant, circling the location and marking this first circle of the restaurant goal. If you chose to include the mission cards, you can keep track of those points in this section of the scoring strip. The last section has to do with the optional rush action. I will explain how to use this section when I show you how you can combine the action symbols. At the beginning, I already told you that you need to pick 2 action symbols, and you do so by picking 2 that are horizontally or vertically adjacent. These symbols, again, these allow you to move around the map, and these are the normal action symbols. The action symbols with the number allow you to spend that amount of actions during your turn. You're allowed to spend these actions at the location where you start, during your move, or at the location where you finish that turn. For example, if I pick these 2 symbols, this symbol allows me to move 2 steps on the map, and while doing so, I can spend these 2 shopping action symbols. In this case, I ended my last turn here, so I can first spend one of these shopping action symbols to mark this goal. So I circle the location and cross off the first open circle. Then I still am allowed to move 2, so I could move 1 here. Spend my other shopping action to circle the goal, mark off 1 other circle, and then spend my last move to end my turn here. Let's take a look at a turn where I combine these 2 planning actions with 3 photo actions. I ended my turn here, so I use my first planning action to move to this historical building. I can spend 2 of these photo actions to take a picture, to let them take a picture of this historical building, circling the location and marking off this first circle. And then I spent my second planning action to move over here. And with the 1 photo action that I have left over, I'm now allowed to take a picture, to let them take a picture of this almshouse. So circling this location and marking the second circle of that goal. In this turn, I'm combining these 2 planning actions with these 2 eating and drinking actions. First, I use 1 planning action to move from where I ended my last turn, to move to this location. And I can spend 1 of these eating and drinking actions to stop at 1 of the small drinking and eating goals. So now I use 1 of these, circle the goal at the location, and mark off my first visit to this type of location. So I already visited this one, so I'm also allowed to cross this to help me remember I already visited this location once. With my second planning action, I move 1 space up, stopping again to let them have a cup of coffee. This costs me 1 of these eating and drinking actions. So now again, circling the location and marking off that goal in the scoring strip. Of course, during our visit, there are only that many hours in a day, but we really want to give them a complete view, a complete experience of visiting Bruges. So we might want to rush them along a bit, make them walk a bit faster, eat a little bit faster, or let them take those photos a bit quicker. To show you how this rush action works, let's take a look at my next turn. I've chosen this action combination. I have 3 planning actions and 2 photo actions. So I start my turn here, spending 1 planning action to move to this bridge. Here I will spend 1 photo action to let them take a picture of this bridge, marking off this first circle. I spent my second planning action to move here, and now I spent another of these photo actions to let them take a picture of this religious building. So I can circle the location and cross off the circle. So now I have 1 planning action left, and I've seen that there's a location here where they can eat and drink. So maybe I use this last planning action to move over here, and then I use my rush action to combine it with this symbol. This is the eating and drinking action. So now if I use my rush action, I'm allowed to circle this goal, because it takes me 1 to let them stop here and have something to eat or drink. And then I can of course also cross off this goal. Of course, people don't like it when you make them walk faster or ask them to spend less time shopping or eating. So each turn when you decide to take this rush action, you will have to cross off the first circle on your scoring strip where you see the rush action symbol. You will notice that the more you rush them, the unhappier they become, and this will result in a lower satisfaction score for your tour, because this will cause you to subtract points from your end total. You might have noticed that each action also has a smaller action symbol on it. This symbol represents the action that is on the back of the card. So you can plan your action taking this into account. You will know what 3 of the 6 actions will be, but of course you don't know their value. But if you know that in this base game it only takes 1 action symbol to take a picture of a bridge, you could end your turn near this bridge location, knowing that when the next turn starts and this card will be flipped over, you will be able to take a picture of this bridge to start your turn and spend one of these photo actions. We chose to include these 3 mission cards for our game, but what do these mission cards mean? We have 2 types of mission cards, Mission 1, 4 and 5, and Mission 2, 3 and 6. Mission 1, 4 and 5 can earn you points during the game. You will notice that these bonuses, that these missions have 3-point values on the card. This means that the first player or players who achieve this goal will gain the first number of points. This can happen during the same turn. Those who are second get the middle amount of points, and all other players who achieve this goal will get the lowest value. For Mission 1 cards, you want to be the first to achieve 5 of the specified goals. So an example, the first player who let their visitors take 5 pictures of statues or squares wins 10 points. The same goes for Mission 4 and 5, again awarding the highest number of points to the first player who achieves the goals that are written on the card. Mission 2, 3 and 6 earn you points at the end of the game. The amount of points can differ depending on the type of mission card. Mission 2 cards give each player the number of points per set obtained. So in this case you get 4 points for each set of 2 visits to a museum with a maximum of 5. Mission 3 cards give the amount of points to the player that achieved the most goals of this specific type. In this case meaning the player who achieved this goal, the taking pictures of statues and squares the most, will be awarded 10 points. And again, Mission 6 will be looked at during the advanced game. These 2 cards, this Mission 2 and Mission 5 card, show you the Visit Museum symbol, but here you can have a set of any visits to a museum, and in this case of the Mission 5 card, you really have to visit this specific type of museum. The coordinates on the card help you to find that location on your city map. Now that we know how the mission cards work, we can see that our first mission gives 12 points to the first player or players that achieve these 5 goals. That at the end of the game, each player will score 6 points for each set of 2 visits to a play or a cinema. And at the end of the game, the player or players who achieve the most shopping goals get 10 points. Each time when you achieve a mission during or at the end of the game, there's a place here in your scoring strip to mark your points. If, for example, I was the first one to achieve Mission 1, I would be allowed to write 12 points in this first scoring box. So, after 15 turns for a shorter game, or 19 for a longer game, the game will end and it's time to add up our scores. Before summing up your points, first take a look at who is awarded points at the end of the game. Maybe I achieved the Mission 2 goal 2 times, so this would award me 12 points. But I didn't achieve Mission 3. Your score for each goal is the first free number that has not been crossed off. So, here for the shopping goal, I would have 10 points, 20 points, here 10 points, 6 here, 5, 1 here, 10 here. Remember, for our eating and drinking goal, If they have visited a restaurant, I'm allowed to multiply by 2 the score that I achieved here in the line above. So this would mean that I would gain 20 points. If I wouldn't have visited a restaurant during their tour, I would only gain 10 points. The goals I achieved would give me 24 points. But I've rushed them 5 times during my game, so now I would have to subtract -3. My final score would be 106, but I have to subtract 3 points from rushing my visitors. So I have 103 points at the end of this game. Now, the player with the highest rating wins, and in case of a tie, the player with the lowest number of rush actions wins the game. Before we move on to the advanced game, I would like to show you a variant that you can use with either the base or the advanced game. In this variant, you can connect a second road to your starting position when you are planning your trip. So you can plan your trip in 2 directions and divide your chosen actions between these 2 directions. If you add this variant, you will reduce the luck factor, so this actually results in a higher rating. Just keep in mind that this variant may also lengthen the game, because people have more options to think about. So, to show you this, I have marked this location as my starting position. And when I use these 2 planning actions, I can use one planning action to start a route here, and I can use my other planning action to start a second route here. I now have 2 options when I plan my route and spend my actions during my turn. If we turn over our player sheet, we will find the advanced version of the game. The game length is the same as in the base game. You can choose to play a shorter game using 16 action cards or a longer game using 20 action cards. During setup, you can now add up to 6 mission cards, including this mission 6 card. If you want to use this mission card, you place the card in the center of the table and you now draw 6 of these starting location cards. You lay them apart on top of each other, so the goal and the symbol and coordinates of each card remain visible. These starting locations will now become extra goals. At the end of the game, you count how many of these goals you have achieved during your tour and receive the indicated amount of points. So, if you would have completed 3 of these goals, you would receive 9 points. To achieve one of these goals, you have to take the corresponding action at that specific location. The coordinates on the card help you to find the location on your city map. So, if I want to achieve this goal, the wall plane goal, I would find it on my map. It's H15, so this would be around here. This is a statue location, so this means that I would have to spend a photo action so the tourists can take a picture of this statue. And now I have achieved one of these specific goals. This would give me 1 point. You will notice that there's a room for all the missions that you have accomplished during your game. In the Legend of the Advanced map, you will notice some differences. Visiting a museum now costs you 2 of these visit actions, instead of 1 in the base game. Letting your visitors attend an event or go to the movie or theater now costs you 3 visit actions, instead of the 2 for the base game. On the map itself, we can find a combination of goals in some of the locations. For example, at this location, you can choose to either take a photograph of the historic building, or you can choose to attend an event. This station building still counts as 3 separate locations like in the base game. But now you choose at each location to take a picture of the historic building, or you can complete the eat and drink goal to the left and the center, or attend an event on the right side. Just beware that you can only take a picture of this historic building once. So you're not allowed to take a picture in each of these 3 locations. You have to choose one of the locations to take your picture. At this location, tourists can take a photo of the statue and the bridge with 1 photo action. So you can mark 2 circles in your scoring strip. You would be allowed to cross the first here for the statues and also cross off a circle for the bridges. These blue symbols count as bridges. So you use them to cross the water, and of course you can also stop to take a picture and cross off a bridge circle. The last but a very important difference with the base game is the addition of bonus actions. You can find these bonus actions in the scoring strip. Each time you have achieved 3 goals of the same type, you will receive a bonus action of a value 1, 2 or 3. You can use this bonus action to spend that amount of actions of one type. You can use it immediately or in one of your following turns. Just like with a normal action, you can use this bonus action at any point during your turn. And if you use the variant where you may plan 2 routes, you can also spread these actions between these 2 routes. We are ending this how to play video with a look at the solo variant. To play this solo variant, you will need the overview at the back of the rulebook. Here, you can pick any level that you want to play. You then choose the corresponding starting location, mission cards and player sheet. For level 1 up until 5 you will use the green side of the city sheet. For level 6 until 15 you will use the advanced side of the city sheet. You use the same rules as for the multiplayer game, but you also use the variant that lets you connect a second route to your starting position. So, for example, if I would like to play a level 4 game, I would now turn my sheet over because I'm going to use this green side of the player sheet. I need the starting location number 4, and I can find it by looking at the corner here. I can see number 4, so this will be my starting locations. And for missions, I need 2 missions, a mission 1 and a mission 2 card. At level 4 it would be mission 104. That's this one, again looking at the number in the corner. And for mission 2 I would need the mission card 202. I will use these goals and the starting location. And to win the solo game you have to achieve all your goals and have at least that amount of points that's noted here for your requested level. So at a level 4 I would have to complete these 2 missions, and I would have to have scored at least 80 points at the end of the game. Mission 1, 4 and 5 will award you with the highest point value if you complete that mission. For mission 2, you score points if you have at least 1 set of that goal at the end of the game. When deciding how many action cards you will use during your game, just know that the fewer action cards you would use, the more challenging your game becomes. When you use all 20 action cards you are playing on easy level, with 16 cards you would play on normal level. This is all you need to know to set up and play Citytrip Brugge. If you like this video, you can click the like and subscribe button, and if you want to follow MeepleCare, you can do so on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. This was MeepleCare, taking care of your meeple needs.